Yo, what up, guys? This is Mitch Durrell, and before we get into the video, I just want you guys to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And go ahead and check out my guys over at tbk247.com as we change the culture for God. Peace.
Take your time.
Well, speaking of labels, so you just partnered with Illect.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How did you decide? Because I know you've been trying to decide what you're gonna do moving forward.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Man, so Josh that runs Illect, he used to run Uprock Recordings back in the day, which was a part of this label called BEC, Tooth and Nail, which was a major Christian label. They had a lot of rock bands and stuff on them, but they had a hip hop arm, and that hip hop arm had Tunnel Rats, which Propaganda was a part of. Tunnel Rats had KJ was there. It was his second deal. A lot of prominent artists from that time. A lot of artists that were on this side of that argument that I was talking about.
Right.
They were not your straight, theological based rap or Bible rap. They were hip hop, the elements of hip hop. And so I sent my demo in like 2003. He was one of the people that I sent my demo to, and I began to watch, and then lo and behold, when I got signed with Collision in 2012, I put out our group album came out March of 2013, and Josh worked. He had left Uprock. Uprock is defunct, and then he had started Illect, and it was still the same vibe, still doing the same things, but he over 20 something years in the industry. And when he started working behind the scenes with the We Live as Kings thing, man, it was kind of like I was living out this thing that I wanted to do back in the day. Kind of, I was on Collision, but Josh is helping behind the scenes doing PR stuff. And then with my album Gold Rush, he did the same thing. And so we just built a relationship from that. And then once I became independent, I would see him different places or talk to him occasionally, and he still was willing to help. And so he's always been a guy that's just been there for the community to be, some help. Like I know artists that have never been signed to him, and they love Josh because he's just willing to put in the work and help people. And so, man, we've been talking about me actually signing for a little over 2 years, I believe. And then last November, I got the contract, and it took me from November to May to actually sign the contract. And it had nothing to do with him. I'm still trying to do the independent thing. I was still trying to gain traction and figure out on my own, figure out some of the behind the scenes stuff. But there comes a time where you're just like, man, like I know my limits, and I know when it's like time to just be an artist. It's just time to just be an artist and just focus on the art. And so, I decided to do it, man. And like I said, he has the experience, he has the connections, he has the knowledge. And on top of all of that, the most beautiful thing is Josh is just a really good person.
Right.
Like just a really good person. So
we'll continue on.
I honestly think, something that I've been trying to do the last year and a half, something that I've done in the past, but I wasn't as consistent as I want to be, especially going forward with this, is that we have to, just in music industry period, but speaking specifically to like Christian hip hop, we have to build our own homes. We have to build our own, and when not your literal house, but like your own spaces. Because for one, it can be done, and two, this whole situation that we're in now just shows us that, I mean, part of your whatever stream of, just speaking from the business side, if you look at your streams of income, one of those can just fall apart at any time. Right. And there's only so many live videos you can do where you're performing songs before it gets old.
I'm so sick of IG Live.
Yeah, bro. Like at first it was, when it was just a, you know, quarantine and just hit and everybody just, oh, what are we gonna do? Like them joints was fire. Like, man, I've never seen this person in this light before doing this. This is an intimate setting because we feel like we're the only one in the room.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, bruh, like go watch Netflix. Go be with your family, bro. Go be with your family, man. I'm tired. I'm tired of it. But so I mean, we have to pivot as far as business wise. You have to pivot. And so if going forward, if people don't start to build their own, and we talk about platforms all the time, but it's not even our platforms. Twitter's not ours. Instagram's not ours. Facebook's not yours. Like these platforms are not yours. Even to the degree of like building your own website. Yes, you built the website and you use Squarespace. You don't own Squarespace.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still a step closer to being yours than it is, you know, a social media company. And so I would encourage people to reach out to the people that are actually listening to your music. Don't be discouraged when it's only 50 people. Take care of those 50
real people. Facts.
Yes, and feed those 50 people and love on those 50 people. You know what I'm saying? From a spiritual standpoint, man, like one of the things that I'm wrestling with right now is just like I have this line on this song that I haven't put it out yet, but it's you know, I told God what I had when I'm looking at my plans. He took the mask off and just laughed, and it's like this whole mask thing. I wrote that when we first started quarantine, but it was just like this fog of like, I'm looking at people, you know, believers that I know, and even myself, and it's just like, oh, what are we doing with God in all of this? And I'm not saying that in a condemning way because I'm looking at myself, but it's just like, bro, like what we talked about this not being fearful and God being this. I mean, I go outside and look at the stars and I'm like, God created all of this.
Right.
And we're, but then you look at real life and we're freaking out.
We're losing our minds. Yeah.
We're losing our minds. And so it's like, and some of it is valid, man. I know people that have actually died from, you know, complications of coronavirus. I know people that have, you know, been, you know, injustices have happened to them. Injustices have happened to me, and things have been said to me. So I know that these things exist. But we have to not even take God with us. Like we have to remember who we are, I guess, is the thing. And it has to be in the art. Like as artists, we have an obligation, if we're going to be artists, to speak to other human beings through our art. That's like, God gave us this for a reason. And so we have to include and make sure that when we're speaking and creating this art, it's from that worldview, from that lens, to where it's from a God's eye view. Like we're actually including that, because if not, we're just like everybody else. And then like, what are we really talking about then? We're just all lost at that point. You know what I mean?
I feel you. Very dope perspective, man. You always got.
Not gonna lie, so when I was younger, I would say, like, you know how we all go through this identity crisis type thing when we're younger?
That's good.
Yeah, kind of. Like you don't want to be like
friends, indie friends.
Oh, okay.
So
do wonders like AI anomalies.
I know that, right? Saga, who was on
rap on the same beats. You're definitely more lyrical. So like, you're not.
I actually knew a guy in Miami that he was going to the same show.
And I tweeted like last week that someday I'm gonna have a song with him. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen.